So, how do you stand out as a creative web professional with so much competition and especially when times are hard?
Let's find out.
Welcome to the Digital Alchemist podcast. I'm your host, Casino, and I'm the Digital Alchemist. So, today we'll take a look at 3 tips to help you stand out as a creative web professional, especially in those times which are kind of hard, and also how to do that when there's so much competition. So let's get started. So first of all, we talk about the fact that you need to spend time on your branding. So you can succeed without branding, but should you? See, I see so many businesses that look generic. And when I say businesses, I'm talking about creative web professionals. So whether you have a small web design firm, maybe you're a web developer, maybe you're a marketer that creates websites on the side also on top of your marketing skills. But the thing is, I see so many of those freelancers and small web studios that are so generic. And when I say generic, they're going to be called web solutions, blah, blah, blah solutions. I mean, it's so generic. Now, I don't want to take the example of Apple all the time. I could take Dell also. When you say Dell, you think computers. Why? Because they've been working on their branding. Now, granted, they don't have the same budget that you have, or maybe it's the other way around. You don't have the budget that they have to advertise, but still, you should at least take the time to think about your name. You should take the time to think about what your brand is like. That's so crucial. It's like, the first thing one business should do, but I'm so baffled when I see businesses that are supposed to be creative businesses and their branding is not that great. Next, make sure you understand what a brand is. Now, it may sound silly, but a brand is not a logo. You'd be surprised how many times people actually think it's a logo, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not mocking anyone. I'm just saying a brand is not a logo. So if you know what a brand is, you can fast forward to the next section, but you might learn a thing or two. So we go about it quickly. I like to compare a brand to a person. So for example, people know who I am. My people in my circle and even people that follow me here on YouTube. So they know how I talk. They know my name. They know that on this channel I dress with a black shirt, a t-shirt. They know how I end my videos. Well, all of that is my brand. Okay. So just imagine that, just try to remember your high school crush. Okay. You know, what you like about that person. Okay. Well, it's the same thing with a brand. After all, a brand is a perception. So you're trying to shape the perception that people have about your business. Do you use a lot of color? Do you use a specific color? What tone do you use when you talk? If you create videos, you always have the same jingle, the same music. You want people to really know what it's all about. And the logo is just one part of the brand. The essence of the brand are the core values. What are the core values of your brand? So this is really where you should get started. And luckily for you, I have a few videos on this channel that talk just about that. And on YouTube, you'll find many, many videos of great creators that really explain what a brand is. So this is really something you should start with. Next, don't reinvent the wheel. So what am I trying to say? Well, simply, I created a brand identity guidelines that you can actually download for free on my website. It's pretty easy to use, and it was made initially for Affinity Designer, which I've talked about a lot on this channel, but you can also use it with Adobe Illustrator with a workaround. So all you have to do is go to casino.com/branding to get your copy absolutely free of charge. 2, spend time on your portfolio. So if you're starting out, what you should really do is a simple technique. You should aim for 3 businesses in your local area. And what you're going to do is that you're going to offer them your services for free. But you're not going to tell them it's free. You're going to tell them, okay, I looked at your website. And yeah, one thing that's really important, just aim for websites that really are outdated and obsolete. So you go and see those businesses and tell them, I've looked at your website and I can see that it's outdated. I have an offer that you cannot refuse. See, creating that type of website would actually cost, and then you put the number that's current in your in the area where you live, in the country where you live. Could be, I don't know, 1K, 2K, 3K, $500. I don't know. You need to make your research about the market around you. Don't try to be the cheapest. Don't play that game. Just put the normal price for that type of website. Let's say 5 pages website. So then you're going to tell them, this is how much it would cost, and I'm going to offer you for free, but with 2 conditions. Well, the first condition is that I have the final word on the design, because I want this to be my portfolio. So I get to decide about the design. And second, you can never disclose the fact that it was made for free. Put all of that in a contract, and then you set to have your first 3 beautiful websites in your portfolio. Now, you're going to get a lot of no's. Don't be discouraged, because eventually you will get some yeses. Now, if you're already in business, well, the strategy is kind of similar. Now, you might not want to offer those websites for free when you're already in business, but you could do kind of the same technique and have a really large discount, like 70% discount or something, just because you want them to pay something, but you want them to know the value you're offering out of it. And you're already in business, so you already have a portfolio. But if you want to make your portfolio better with, names that maybe are known locally, this is one way to go. You'll tell them it would usually cost, I don't know, 2K, 3K for this website, but I'm offering you a 70% discount with the same conditions that I talked about previously. So as a reminder, 1, you get to choose the final design because you want this to be in your portfolio, and that's the reason why they get 70% discount. And 2, they cannot disclose the fact that it was heavily discounted. Next, let your work credits send you leads. So something you should definitely do is add your credits in the footer, and you should put that in the contract. Now, some clients may say, we don't want your branding in our footer, in the footer of a website. Well, fair enough, you just add a premium, but you put that in the contract. So by default, you're entitled to put, that's what you put in the contract. You're entitled to put your credits, like website made by, and then the link to your website. But if the client chooses not to have those credits, they can do so, but they need to pay you a premium for that. And you get to decide what the premium is. As long as they sign it in the contract, then you're all set. Make sure you let them know beforehand. You don't want that to be a surprise. Now, obviously they should read the contract, but I like to go through the contract with my clients. So I'm being really transparent, and there's no surprise for them. And then everybody's happy. 3, choose your strategy. So first of all, you should decide whether you go with volume or niche. Now, in my opinion, there's nothing wrong with going with either one. So let me explain a little bit. When I say volume, let's talk about airlines. Just picture Ryanair on one side and Emirates Airlines on one side. So Ryanair, if you don't know, it's a really low-cost airlines. They have really cheap flights. But the service, of course, is in relationship to those little prices. So you might have to purchase your meal, and there's a lot of services you won't get, and you get a very, very minimal luggage allowance. Whereas on the other side, Emirates is known as a luxury airline. So the price might be way higher, but they don't have that volume strategy that Ryanair has. And when it comes to creative web services, and let's talk about creating websites for a living, you could go with either strategy. You could either say, okay, I'm going to do a lot of really cheap websites, but that's going to be volume. So I'm going to delegate to other freelancers, and I'm just going to go and convince people to purchase my services, and then I'm going to pay someone that's cheaper than what I'm being paid for, and I'll just take the money with a difference. So that would be your volume strategy. Try to sell as much as you can. Now, the other strategy, which I personally prefer, but once again, there's nothing wrong with the first strategy. The second strategy is to go niche. You could niche down, you could work with lawyers, or you could work with dentists, I don't know. And maybe it's not even specific to the industry. You could say, okay, I want to work with business entrepreneurs that need this type of website, minimum 20 pages, or that want high-end websites, custom-made websites. And you can do that even with WordPress. You can do custom-made design with WordPress. And I'll talk about that in a lot of other videos. But whatever you decide, you should just pick one segment of the market that's ready to pay more because they want more service. Actually, they expect maybe better quality, or they expect additional services. So that means that you could do less website. So let's say that for 10 low-cost websites, you could do one. And okay, it's going to be more service, but you're getting more money out of it. So there's nothing wrong with either strategy, but you need to choose one. If you're trying to be everything to everyone, nothing is going to happen. Next, you should decide where you go with a personal brand or a business brand. And once again, as you may have guessed it, I have a video about that also. But cut a long story short, I think that whatever you do, you should work on your personal brand. Even if you decide to go with a regular brand, so I don't know, you could call your studio Giraffe Crazy. I don't know, this, you should be creative with the name also, but whatever you choose, I still think that you should create your personal brand. Now, if you look at me, this is my personal brand, but I also have my day-to-day business every day. But what I'm getting from my personal brand can bring me business in my day-to-day website creation services business. And that's definitely something I really advise you to do, whatever you do. Now, if you want to go personal brand only, the trouble with that is that if your web design studio is your name, and then let's say you hire some people because you want to delegate some work, and let's say that at one point you want to go in a completely different direction, you want to start a music studio business, well, what's going to happen? Either you're going to have to change the name of your web studio, but then all the branding that you've worked on, will be kind of lost, or you just decide to leave your employees work in your web studio with your name, and then you create a new brand. But you're going to send various confusing signals to your audience. So my advice would actually to have both. Always work on your personal brand no matter what. And then on the side, just create a regular brand for your business. And finally, try, analyze, and then try again. So if you're small enough, you have nothing to lose. Now, granted, if you already have a big following, trying new stuff, it can hurt sometimes, but you need to take some risk, especially when you're an entrepreneur. Now, as mentioned, if your business and your audience are small enough, you really have nothing to lose. And by the way, this advice was given to me by a good friend, which has much more subscribers than I do. And that's what he told me, and he was right. And that's probably why I'm testing a lot of different stuff here on the channel, because I'm trying to be able to release more videos more consistently. And some of the videos that I made previously took me like a full week of work, which is not sustainable when you're not doing this full time. I still need to make a living, right? So I thought it was a good thing to follow up on that advice and test a few different things, test new formats. And then I still want to do the long format videos and the videos that take time. But for that, I need to reach some of the stepstones that I have in my own plan. But in the meantime, I want to be there and show up more consistently. So we'll see how it works, but at least I'm trying stuff and I see what works and what doesn't work. And that's exactly the advice I want to end this video on. Now, as mentioned, if you want to stand out more, I've created these brand identity guidelines, which you can download for free on my website. So once again, all you have to do is go to casino.com/branding. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and you now have a better idea of how to stand out as a creative web professional. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you could give it a thumbs up because it really helps growing this channel. And if you're not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe and please smash the notification bell so that you don't miss anything. So that's it for this podcast. I hope I see you in the next one. And in the meantime, don't forget to invest
in your success.